today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Icons figure number 14, the Joker. I quite like the take on Joker here, as he, instead of normally being the unhatted or just regular hair Joker, we get a more gangster Joker here with his fedora and also a trench coat and Tommy gun. This is figure number 14 and comes to us from the DC Icons line. The side of the box features the Joker there, figure number 14, the Joker at Death in the Family, and DC Collectibles down below. The back of the package features the other characters in this set, which I believe are Static Shock, Firestorm, John Stewart, Green Lantern, and of course Mr. J. Down below it's designed by Ivan Rice, sculpted by Joe Mena. And on the underside of the package, www.dccomics.com, you can also head over to comicsshoplocator.com if you'd like to find a comic book store in your area. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're getting a better look at the DC Comics Icons. This is figure number 14, the Joker. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. If there was one figure that could likely dethrone my feelings of Firestorm being the best DC Icons figure released so far, I feel Mr. J could be a possible contender. Now, this is Mr. J from the Batman Death in the Family comic line. One of my personal favorites of the Batman storylines. I still have my original trade paperback, and I think I even have some of the comics from when I was growing up still. I kept a lot of the Batman comics as my preferred. While I did kind of axe a lot of my DC, well, a lot of my comic collection, I kept a lot of my Batmans. So we have Joker here, slightly different, a different take on Joker. And I say different take on Joker, meaning that normally when you get a Joker figure, he's always showing his hair. You know, he always has no hat and just has his hair on his head. I like that this Joker, it's almost refreshing to see a Joker with a hat, because it just doesn't happen very often. The hat itself, if you were to remove it, I guess maybe being as one possibility, maybe they could have also given him an alternate head sculpt as a possibility as well. But then you run the risk that you have to start worrying about changing out jackets, as the interior tailed coat is attached to the trench coat that he's wearing on the outside of the figure. So it's not like you could remove this. You know, I guess it would have been cool if they had given us an interchangeable head, but all things considered, I think it turned out pretty good. Let's go back and have a look at his face again. Certainly it captures the essence of Joker. One of my favorite designs of Joker also was during the Death in the Family, and basically the subsequent runs around that time frame was some of my favorite Batman artwork. The face sculpt turned out quite nice. Perhaps coming across a little on the wet side around the eye area. I don't know why that had to be as wet as it is. It almost kind of looks like Joker's tearing up. A small little nitpick, something I could overlook. He's got an incredible side profile as well. One of the best Joker side profiles for a figure. A big glaring laughing smile. Very, very nicely done. Also, you can even see that they've painted the interior tongue. Just a level of detail that you don't get a lot of times nowadays with action figures. Some small things like teeth, small things like tongues, stuff like that. You may think it's the obvious, but sometimes that can get overlooked. So the rest of the Joker outfit is classic Mr. J. He's got the purple pants, of course, the capped shoes. I don't know what the actual term is for the covered shoes like that. And he has the orange vest, the green shirt underneath, and of course the big purple trench coat. Something I do appreciate that DC Collectibles did, if I just lift the figure back, is they actually sculpted the tail of Joker's jacket to the trench coat. They could have just left that simply off, but I do appreciate that they put that there, as well as the indication of his jacket attached to the jacket collar area of the trench coat. So a little, again, small touches. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's have a look at his accessories. He comes with his Tommy gun. I believe one panel he's actually just shooting at bats in the comic run. The Tommy gun actually looks quite nice. Painted in silver, painted in the brown handles, and on the brown back section there as well. It does feel a little on the fragile side, a little on the tip of the gun, so be careful there. If you, of course, want to have him holding it, well, he's not going to be able to do much because he's got closed fists. Rest assured, they also gave you a series of interchangeable hands as well. He's got 3 hands in total. One's suited for holding the gun, for example. It confuses me, though, why if you see the closed fist has a more shinier paint to it, whereas the interchangeable hands have more of a matte finish. It's just a little small thing I noticed. Go ahead and wiggle the hand off. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And we can go ahead and pop the new hand in. And then we can go ahead and have him holding the Tommy gun. Just like so. It actually is easier said than done because he doesn't have much of a ledge where his fingers reside. Hopefully I can show you what I'm talking about here just in a second. There we go. The hands, if I can show you here, the hand doesn't clear the handle the greatest of ways. What ends up happening is that the Tommy gun just doesn't sit very well in his hand. And this is the proper hand, as you can see, because he's got the trigger finger, but he just doesn't hold the Tommy gun all that well. It stays there, but it doesn't stay there with the greatest of ease. He comes also with a couple of other interchangeable hands as well. This one probably, you know what, we'll try this hand here. Pop this off. We'll try this alternate. Now, one hand is better suited for holding the crowbar, which I'll show you guys in a second. Let's find the proper hand here. So this hand here, I think I've actually already tried that hand. Oh, it's this hand right here. Okay, we'll pop that one in. There we go. Let's try the Tommy gun with this one. Again, has that trigger finger. Yeah, that does a much better job. So he does have 2 variations of the hand. Kind of really escapes me as to why they just simply didn't give you one hand, because this one does a perfectly good job of holding the Tommy gun. Also, too, because he's got the double bend in the elbows, you can get something that you can't get with very many figures. You can have Joker with the Tommy gun actually against his shoulder. Let's not also forget the other accessory, something that Death in the Family, the crowbar plays a pivotal role, so to speak. He does also come with the crowbar, which seems to have a little bit more of a durableness to it than that of the tip of the Tommy gun, but still some caution should be made, and caution should also be made not to drop it on the floor. Hold on one second. Retrieving said crowbar, if you want to have it displayed in Joker's hand, but you know what? I'm going to put it in this hand here. He does come with also another hand suited for holding the crowbar. And I guess really, yeah, that's probably going to be the one right there, so I'm going to have to replace this hand. And put this hand in place. There we go. Go ahead and put the crowbar into his hand. Does a fine job of holding it. Sits a little loose at times, so you have to probably want to just angle the hand ever so slightly so it doesn't look like it's, well, you could do it this way, but it will slide through, as you can see. So maybe have it on a slight angle. Maybe he can properly hold it that way. Or even wedge it against his thumb might also fix the problem too. There we go. The crowbar, also a good way to display the figure. Perhaps, possibly even be the way I end up displaying the figure is going to be with the crowbar. It just fits the character profile perfectly, especially for the Death in the Family run. After all that, we're going to take the crowbar, we're going to put that to the side, move the hands to the side as well. Joker's articulation, well, he does have a ball joint in the head. Hinged shoulders, full rotation on the arms. There's a rotation on the bicep, a double hinge, as mentioned, on the arms, a rotation on the wrists. He has an upper torso crunch. Doesn't have a waist swivel, nor does he have a ball joint torso crunch or ball joint there. Legs go forward and back. This happens a lot when I've moved the figure. When you move the legs forward and back, at times the ball joint, it's happened to me a couple of times actually prior to shooting this review, the ball joint will be prone to popping off. So just be very careful moving the legs in and out that you don't accidentally pop, as you saw there, the ball joint out. He has a double hinge on the knee. And there we go. Just like clockwork. There goes the other ball joint. Just pop that back into place. I don't know if what the reasoning for it is, maybe just because of the very small socket that they've put in there for the joint. But it is very prone, I guess as my one other nitpick to the figure, it is very prone to popping off. And as you can see, it snaps back in perfectly fine. Finally, rounding out the rest of the articulation, he has a hinge on the foot, and he also has a pivot. As a whole, the figure is good. Now, bringing in the figure that we were comparing him to in the initial end of this review, the Firestorm, which I still think is a fantastic figure. I don't really know which one I think is a better figure. Joker has little hiccups, granted with the legs, granted with holding some of the accessories. Dare I almost say, being that I'm such a big Joker fan, I might feel that Joker's a better looking figure, but I do really like Firestorm. That's going to be a big, hard toss-up right there. Let me know down below of the two figures which you think is the best figure, and maybe if you've had a chance to pick up these figures for yourself, let me know down below. In the meantime, today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the DC icons. This was the Joker. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.